Mitchell Prosk, co-founder of Crescent Grove Advisors. How and why did you get into the wealth management business?
Great question, Chris, and thank you for having me on this interview. The how is interesting in the fact that I have an undergraduate degree in construction engineering, and ultimately my vision was to go to law school and become a patent lawyer. I ended up going into a joint JD MBA program with the belief that law was where I was headed, but I always had an interest and enjoyment in numbers. And during that 3.5 year education. What I realized that during during that time is that I was headed down this law road and only interviewing and going to law firms during that time, but it was literally the last interview that I had at the law school, which was with a finance firm, that I realized that ultimately this was where I wanted to head. So even though I had done internships at law firms in the summer and had only interviewed at law firms as I finished up, it was one investment firm that a friend of mine in the same program said, "Hey, you should reach out to them and look at if this is something you're interested in." And ultimately, it led me to where I was. I interviewed with some of my now co-founders at Crescent Grove Advisors. We ended up working together at that firm for 5 years, and then ultimately started up to some extent on our own in '05, and we've been together now almost 20 years. So it was an interesting road where engineering and numbers was what I enjoyed. Law school was where I ultimately thought I was headed. And then kind of a right turn came at the end of that program and led me down this path of where I am at Crescent Grove Advisors, being a co-founder and in the wealth management area. Ultimately, it was that first couple of years and where I was that really helped identify and for me make me feel comfortable the why part of your question, which is why wealth management. And ultimately, because Crescent Grove is a multifamily office approach and it's very holistic in nature, we do advising on investments and taxes and estate planning and employee benefits. What it did for me was combine the benefits of law school and learning fact patterns and spotting issues and new cases, combined it with numbers and figuring out ways to kind of help add value on a lot of different fronts and kind of connecting those pieces to help families. So ultimately, the why, I learned that I really enjoy taking my education and applying both aspects to what we do at Crescent Grove and helping families.
Thank you for your time.